Yeah, our next guest is a film reviewer, and he joins us today to discuss his podcast, Let's Review. That's the name of his podcast, and to share his opinion on some of the most impactful films of 2020. Please welcome to the show, Adam McPartlan. Adam,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
So you got a lot going on. You do a lot of reviews, and the podcast is hot. Tell us about it.
Well, the podcast I started with my friend Steve. We had started it as part of a group blog about 2 years ago. We just recently revived it, and during the pandemic, and started talking about old-time movies because none were being released.
Yeah. So you go to some of those old-time cable stations like Me and all of that, and you watch some of those and you talk about them?
We use most of the movies we talk about we've already seen. We've watched them a long time ago. If we haven't seen them, we try to find them on Amazon or Hulu, Netflix, the cable stations. Absolutely.
So, which movies? Give us an example of maybe one or two of the movies that you guys have spoken about already.
Oh, well, we had a real long debate about whether or not Star Wars The Last Jedi was actually good or not. That went on for a while. We still don't agree. He thinks it was really good. I think it was not.
Dude, I was at a Dude Ranch when that first came out. I was the
Really?
DJ at a Dude Ranch. And
what did you think of The Last Jedi?
Well, you're going to put me on a podcast. There we go. Let's turn the tables here. Good one. You didn't think it was too good, right?
No, I wasn't a big fan of it. Steve was.
Steve was.
Steve
so
loved
that's good. That makes for a perfect argument. Yes and no, him or her, this and that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we had one podcast specifically. We flipped a coin to take sides on movies we both loved, so that we would have to argue the negative side of movies we liked, like The Dark Knight, which was painful. So it hurt, but it's a fun exercise.
And you recently did film reviews for Tenet and The Five Bloods.
Yes, I did The Five Bloods as soon as it came out back in June, I believe it came out. And Tenet I just saw maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Did reviews for both. I absolutely loved The Five Bloods. I think it's probably I think it is Spike Lee's best movie.
A Spike Lee movie, yeah.
I think it's his best movie ever.
So what conclusion did you come to? Did your partner argue against it?
Oh, we didn't talk about it on the podcast. We didn't talk about that one on the podcast just yet. We just I write reviews as well as doing podcasts. So I just wrote up the reviews for those. Yeah.
What made you want to get into it? Because there were a couple of guys out there that were doing this. Ebert and what's the guy's name?
Ebert and Roper. They had Siskel and Ebert. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was doing college radio, this guy, they used to have, they didn't call them podcasts, sort of like a podcast, but they had their little weekly things that they reviewed and spoke about different things that were coming up or that they've seen. Yeah.
Well, in high school, I saw the Quentin Tarantino, great director. I saw his movie Inglourious Bastards, and I really liked it. I said it would win a few Oscars. My mother laughed at me because she hated it. And then Christoph Waltz, the guy who played Hans Landa, he won an Oscar for supporting actor. And from there on, I basically self-taught myself how to critique a movie, how to watch what made a movie good, what made a movie bad, what pieces were good or bad, and started writing for the college paper in college. And then after I graduated, I wrote for an Irish film magazine, an Irish internet film magazine, and then started writing with the blog for my friends and elsewhere as like a freelance film critic.
Yeah, so you know how to do it now. So give me one tip. I'm going to watch this movie and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it on the radio. I want to talk about it to maybe a group of friends coming up. What should I look for?
Okay, well, it depends on who you're talking to, because what I find is that a lot of critics, they like to just bash things that are just like stupid funny, which is fine. I mean, it's that, but the movie is not really going for incredible film excellence. They're going to make people laugh.
Right.
So if you're talking to like your friends who just want to watch a stupid movie, you have to be able to channel that part out and be like, oh, well, it wasn't made for that. You have to say what it was made for, and then you can recommend it with a straight face. You can't look at it like you'd look at something like let's say 1917 from last year. You're not going to look at Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure the same way you'd look at 1917. They're two different audiences. So you can't look at every movie the same lens. That's the first piece of advice I'd give.
That's the first piece. I'll take that. So how have things changed for you, for your podcast and film review work since the pandemic?
Well, it's been a lot harder since the pandemic started for film reviewing. I've had very few opportunities. There's been a lot of television shows that I could review. But not many movies. Da 5 Bloods was a nice little breath of fresh air during the pandemic for a break. Now Tenet came out. It's nice to have that to go write about. But it was really hard to constantly be writing up things about, for example, the best sports movies or the worst movies or the best superhero movies. Like after a while, it's like people probably get tired of listicles. So you want to try to find something to break it up with. And thankfully I was able to find some of those during the pandemic.
Yeah. And being in it for a while, you kind of know what to put in and what to take out and make it work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you have any thoughts on the upcoming Emmys? Who's going to win? What's going to happen? What should we look for?
Well, what you should look for, I got a lot of thoughts. I'll try to make them as quick as possible. I think, first of all, I think What We Do in the Shadows is the funniest movie on television. It's a mockumentary type show about vampires living in Staten Island. It's absolutely hilarious. It got 3 nominations for writing alone, which just tells you how great the writing team is.
Vampires living in Staten Island.
It's absolutely hilarious. It's on FX. I can't recommend it enough.
I'm going to write it down.
Good. I'm glad. I could convert another person to watch What We Do in the Shadows. I'll take it. I've been converting everybody over the pandemic to go binge it. But I would be looking for Schitt's Creek, the Pop TV Canadian series, to be winning just about everything.
You said Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's. SCHITT '(S) Creek.
Got it.
It's a Canadian television show with Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara. And then in the drama side, it's going to be Ozark versus Succession. Ozark is the Netflix series that's basically Breaking Bad. And just in my opinion, I believe Ozark is a lot better. And Succession is a dark comedy satire on HBO about a media mogul family fighting each other. They're going to be fighting for every single award. It's going to be a great night. I would look for Schitt's Creek and Ozark and Succession to be the big winners in drama and comedy. And Watchmen, the HBO miniseries.
Yeah. Adam, do you think anybody's going to step up and take maybe a political stance or any kind of stance during the Emmys? Somebody usually always does.
I'm sorry, my audio cut out for a second. What was that?
Do you think somebody's going to step up and take a political stance? Or
yes, absolutely. Everybody who wins for Watchmen, the miniseries Watchmen was incredibly political, incredibly timely, especially now. I really think, especially when Regina King wins for Best Actress in a miniseries or television movie, I expect her to be at the front of everything and just make it very clear where she stands on everything.
Yeah. When do you think things are going to start opening up again with the movie theaters?
Man, in New York, that's a hard one. I know they already started opening AMCs in Connecticut. That's where I was able to see Tenet. I had to go out of state to see Tenet.
You had to go out of state, yeah.
Yeah, New York. Hopefully, fingers crossed, October. I would love to see the movie. I would love to see movies back here in October, but I'm not in the mood to rush. I prefer taking things slow and steady and quiet and careful, just for the sake of health and everybody. Yeah.
Because if they do open it up, they're only gonna have 25 people in there at a time, and you got the social distancing. Everybody's gonna be watching. You can't eat popcorn with a mask on, you know.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing about AMC's. What the AMC did is they said you have to keep your mask on unless you're eating or drinking, which basically just gives everybody a license to take it off. But what you did is when you buy a ticket, they actually would then block off the seats directly in front of you and behind you and 4 down next to you, to make sure that social distancing was enforced. So that was at least something they did, which I've appreciated.
Thank you. Hey, Adam, did we miss anything that you wanted to mention?
Nope, that was just about it.
That was it. How can we find you?
You can find me on Spreaker.com, Let's Review link. search for Let's Review and look for my name. Look for Steve Belfield as well.
There you go. You want to shout out some of the people that are working with you? Steve is one of them.
Steve is one of them. That's really about it. It's just me and Steve doing the work. It's just us.
Go. Hey, thank you for what you guys are doing out there. Thank you for your reviews and your podcasts, and keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Adam McPartlan, host and film reviewer. Let's Review podcast. That's the name of it, right?
Yes, sir.
I was going to ask you, how did you come up with that name? Let's Review podcast. It's simple.
Yeah. Steve and I were talking, and it was just so let's review what we just saw, and it came right out of the conversation. Like, that's what we should call it, by the way. Let's review.
Let's call it that. Adam, thank you so much. We love you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Great work. Stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. We'll take a break. We've got more on the way next on Open